So if you remember, these are the deities which I've given in the introduction to the D10 chart and how to read it in the first video in the playlist. You can look it up. But just to recap, the deities are the archetypes of energies which a person will have, which they bring to the profession in the D10 chart. Now, mind you, these deities or these archetypes are only meant for D10 chart, not so much for D1 chart. Okay, forget the natal chart for the time being. Only the Shamsha, the 10th divisional chart. 0 to 3 degrees leadership, 3 to 6 degrees strong work ethic, determined people, 6 to 9 degrees Yama, discipline, strong sense of responsibility, 9 to 12 competitive spirit, 12 to 16 excellent communication skills. Other things are mentioned, I'm quickly recapping. 15 to 18 degrees, they are very dynamic and flexible, quickest to adapt. 18 to 21 degrees is more of financial wealth, astute sensitivity, right? Accountants kind of. 21 to 24 degrees is ability to find purpose and meaning in life. This can once again apply to all kinds of professions, mind you. Just because you're in the medical field doesn't mean you're stuck in hospitals or clinics all the time. You might be able to bring a higher meaning, like Dr. Hegde in India, right? He's bringing a higher meaning to medical science. 24 to 27 degrees is intellectual capability and innovative thinking. 27 to 30 degrees is stability and long lasting success. So, mind you, all of these 3 degrees and 10 divisions in the D10 chart, in the career chart, are very important to consider. So, any planet or point in those particular degrees will have a propensity, will have a drive in that particular direction. That's all it means. It will have that quality. Okay. This is very crucial to understand. So, you should understand this when you're determining the qualities of the planet in a D10 chart. Now, let's see Pushya Nakshatra, what it brings to the table. Uttarashada Nakshatra falls, the first pada falls in Vargottama of Sagittarius, going from Sagittarius to Sagittarius, as you can say. And the next 3 padas go from Capricorn, starts Capricorn. So it finishes up Sagittarius, moving into Capricorn, finishing up the 9th house, going into 10th house, finishing up dharma and moving into karma. 9th house is for dharma, 10th house is for karma. So this becomes important in terms of careers and abilities. What is it that it is desiring to achieve? Basically, that's our question here. Let's get into it. Uttarashada, talents and abilities. First off, leadership and administration. Before we get into it, think of Uttarashada as the power of Sun, power of Jupiter, and power of Saturn, all combined in one nakshatra. That shows you what the importance of this nakshatra is. And in this shift, it's going to be more dominant because Pluto is passing through Uttarashada till 2040. So everything is changing in terms of power, leadership, people power, community power, that kind of a thing. That's the shift. You can see my video on shift if you are inclined about that. Leadership and administration, they may excel in administrative and managerial roles. They may thrive as executives, administrators, government officials, team leaders, or in positions that require organizational skills and decision making. You got to watch for planets Sun, Saturn, and Mercury placement in Uttarashada for this. In terms of business and entrepreneurship, they may excel in business ventures. They may thrive as business owners, entrepreneurs, consultants, or in roles that involve strategic planning, business development, and financial management. What are the planets we look for? Sun, Mercury, and Rahu, because Rahu, along with Mercury, gives a very sharp, shrewd business mind. Finance and investment. They may excel in finance and investment careers. They may thrive as financial analysts, investment bankers, financial advisors, or in roles that involves analyzing market trends, the hedge fund managers kind of thing. Managing portfolio, someone who's an investment specialist for you, and making sound financial decisions. We all need some finance in our lives, right? Planets to look for: Rahu, Mercury, and Saturn. Finance in this combination becomes really powerful. Law and justice. They may thrive as lawyers, judges, legal advisors, and advocates. Also, we got to go ascendant by ascendant for this. Okay, we'll do that now. Mars, Saturn, and Rahu are the planets to look for. For this, social work and humanitarian causes is another possible career. They may excel in social work, humanitarian professions. God knows we need that in the world today. They may thrive as social workers, counselors, activists, volunteers, or in roles that involve making positive impact. For that, you got to look for Saturn, Moon, and Venus. Moon and Venus are the ones who are concerned about others, who give the emotional content required. Saturn gives the discipline and the sort of the karmic aspect that brings into it. I want to do something for others. I want to do something for the society in whichever house it falls, right? House is just the area of life. You got to remember this. Education and training. They may excel in education and teaching fields. They may thrive as teachers, professors, trainers, mentors, or in roles that involve imparting knowledge and guiding others on their educational journey. Okay, for that, you got to see planets of Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. It's a beautiful nakshatra. It's a very dominant nakshatra in this shift in the period currently we are in because Pluto is passing through Uttarashada in Capricorn the moment as we do this video, and it will continue to do so till 2040. This is the shift we are in. Now let us examine by ascendants. For the Aries ascendant, the first pada of Uttarashada falls in ninth house, going into 10th house as marked there. So let us see the ascendant nakshatras for Aries become Ashwini, Bharani, and Kritika. Ashwini will be more like leadership and administration because they are initiators, great leaders. Ashwini wants to initiate stuff. So leadership and administration comes to mind. Look for planets Sun, Saturn, and Mercury in your D10. If it is there as Ashwini Nakshatra, you're a great initiator. Bharani, on the other hand, is a guardian, is a slower worker, is concerned about social and humanitarian causes ruled by Yama. So it may be law and justice, it may be social work and humanitarian causes. If you look for planets Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter in Uttarashada, especially if it is in the ninth house, it may become something like law and justice. Both actually, even social work and humanitarian causes, if there is moon there in the 10th house. In Kritika, it becomes again more of business and entrepreneurship. It becomes more of leadership and administration. Kritika is more of a administrative role, like an executive, mid-level executive, government officials, team leaders, positions that require mid-level execution in management. That's for Ashwini. Kritika, sorry, Aries ascendant. For the Taurus ascendant, Uttarashada falls in the ninth house in the eighth place, and in the ninth house, Capricorn, right? As you can see. The Sagittarius falls in eighth house, the Capricorn falls in ninth house, just to be clear. So what happens here? For the Taurus ascendant, the nakshatra ascendants are Kritika, Rohini, and Mrigashirsha. Different signatures. So we pay very careful attention to the ascendant nakshatra in D1 and D10. Kritika nakshatra will become more of a leadership and administration. So it can look for planets, Sun, Saturn, and Mercury. Coffee needs still to kick in. It's very early in the morning. Never mind. So Rohini Nakshatra, on the other hand, is more finance and business administration. So it's interested in finance and money making matters, especially if it's in the ninth house, right? Uttarashada in the ninth place, as you can see, becomes a banker, investment portfolio, that kind of a thing. For Mrikshisha, it's a hunter of knowledge. Especially in 8th house, it may become more about social work and humanitarian causes. In 10th house, sorry, ninth house in the 10th sign, Capricorn, my mind is getting all mixed up today. It will become more of investment and finance. Okay. More like a consultant. Mrikshisha is more of a consultant role because they are good at advising things. They are Devgana, they are all about higher thinking. Okay. That can become for Taurus ascendant. For the Gemini ascendant, now we have 7th house and 8th house, right? Matters of secrecy, matters of doing behind the scenes, digging out buried stuff, and business and partnerships. Let's look at the ascendant in Gemini. Mrigashirsha, Ardra, and Punarvasu. Punarvasu can become more like business partnerships in if it's in 7th house, for example. It can become all about business and entrepreneurship. Not so much entrepreneurship because 7th house is more of a cooperation with others, business partnership house. If it's in the 8th house where Capricorn is falling now, right? Uttarashada there would be very well for the Ardra ascendant, right? Ardra Nakshatra in Gemini loves to dig deep. Law and justice, interpreting and enforcing law comes to mind. Education and teaching also can be for Ardra Nakshatra, but education and teaching more in terms of science, in terms of teaching in professors, colleges, universities, relating to forensics, relating to criminal justice, even law and order in this case, because Ardra is a very deep thinker. Okay. Same with Mrikshirsha. Same with Mrikshirsha. Although Ardra and Mrikshirsha somewhat carry the same intellectual signature, there is a slight difference. Ardra will go on digging deep continuously. Mrikshisha will go on skimming on the horizontal plane, so to speak, the mental plane. Yeah. For the Cancer ascendant, now we have Uttarashada between the 7th house and the 6th house. 6th house. Well, let's go to the ascendant and then check. Punarvasu, Pushya, and Ashlesha. So for Punarvasu, it's more like business, finance, advisor role, if it is especially in the 6th house. If it's in the 7th house, it becomes business partnerships, like we talked about earlier. For Pushya Nakshatra, it's a teacher. Pushya is a teacher. It's also a social work and humanitarian causes. Yes, Pushya is very concerned about that. May work in social causes, activists, counselors, volunteers. Counselors, Pushya will make excellent counselors. So will Ashlesha, by the way. Ashlesha might be good in more of law and justice when it comes to 6th house matters. So when Uttarashada in 6th, Sagittarius going into Sagittarius, Ashlesha ascendant will become very concerned about others. Emotionally concerned. It's Cancer, right? So that could become a good profession. For the Leo ascendant, Uttarashada falls between 5th house and 6th house. 5th house becomes creative intelligence. 6th house becomes the house of daily work in general. Let's see the ascendants. Magha, Purva Falguni, and Uttar Falguni. Both Purva Falguni and Uttar Falguni would be doing more of earthly professions, so to speak. Finance, administration, business, and entrepreneurship, leadership, and administration comes to mind. Education and training, of course, education and training comes to mind because it's a 5th house, house of education. If it's a Magha Nakshatra, it definitely becomes leadership, right? Especially if it's in the 6th house or even the 5th house, more of 6th house. Okay. Leadership driven by dharma, imagine that in this world, right? For the Virgo ascendant, it falls between 4th and 5th house. So when Sagittarius falls in the 4th house, it becomes very emotionally attached to the highest form of dharma, social and humanitarian causes comes to mind. In 5th house, it may be education and training. It may also be business and entrepreneurship because fifth house is the house of speculation and gains. Let's see the ascendant. Uttara Falguni will go more into finance and administration. Purva Falguni, no, sorry. Uttara Falguni is there, Hasta is there, and Chitra is there in the ascendant. Hasta will do more of finance and investments, definitely. It's Virgo, very grounded. Part of Virgo is Hasta. Chitra will be more of creative stuff. In terms of finance and investments, yes. In terms of education and teaching, also, yes, Chitra can do also. Libra ascendant. We have Chitra, Swati, and Vishakha in the ascendants, but now Uttarashada falls between fourth and third house, as you can see. Third house, more of skills and abilities. Chitra will do very well in leadership and administration if it's in the third house and fourth house. Swati, definitely good for leadership. Okay. Executives, business administrators, government officials, team leaders, positions of authority. Swati is individualistic. It needs place to shine. It can also do good in training and education, professors, lecturers in colleges, that kind of a thing. Vishakha, on the other hand, will be more of business and business administration, entrepreneurs, that kind of a role. For the Scorpio ascendant, the secretive one, it falls between second and the third house, Uttarashada Nakshatra. So, ascendant become for Scorpio, Vishakha, Anuradha, and Jyeshtha. Jyeshtha would probably go into management, so would Vishakha. Okay, leadership, management, and business administration, both Jyeshtha and Anuradha, Jyeshtha and Vishakha. Anuradha, on the other hand, might do more of social work and humanitarian causes because Anuradha is concerned about others. Anuradha is the heart of Scorpio. Okay, heart of Scorpio is actually concerned about others, although in a very internal kind of way. Now, for the Sagittarius ascendant, the highest form of Sagittarius, which is Uttarashada, falls in the ascendant itself. Right? So they will be very dharmic in nature by default if planets and points are coming there, or if the ascendant is coming in Uttarashada in the first house, right? They may do good as lawyers, legal advisors. They may also work for social or humanitarian causes because that's more Sagittarian in nature. But if it falls in the Capricorn, in the second house, Uttarashada, they may do more of finance and administration. Okay? Although, in spite of speaking of that, keep in mind that all these talents and abilities show up in doesn't matter which profession they do, the moment it comes in the ascendant. If it comes in the second house, because it's the house of wealth, it may be good for finance and management, finance related stuff, investment advisors, that kind of a role, banking. Not so much banking, but more of strategic planning, more of financial analyzers, market trends, and that kind of a profession. For a Capricorn ascendant, now the dominant part of Uttarashada falls in Capricorn, the major three halves, three padas. And the Sagittarius goes into the 12th house. So, what are the possibilities? Well, all of these professions, if it is Capricorn, it is more grounded. It will do well in law and justice. It will do well in finance administration. It will do in business and entrepreneurship also. You got to keep in mind the Lord of the 10th house, which in Capricorn's case becomes Venus. So look at Venus wherever it's placed. It'll do well there in that area. And the remaining planets here also. Okay. In case of Aquarius ascendant, now it falls between 11th and 12th house. So 11th house again being all about wealth received, social media, social network kind of approach, whatever doing there as career. 12th house, on the other hand, becomes doing work behind the scenes, social work and humanitarian causes behind the scenes. Let's look at the ascendant of Aquarius, Dhanishta, Shatabhisha, and Purva Bhadrapada. Okay. Dhanishta will become more of finance if it is going into the 11th house. Shatabesha will go more into digging deeper into whatever is going on in the 11th house. Shatabesha is more abstract. So I think it'll do well in social and humanitarian causes because this is a cause of the masses, so to speak. Yes. It'll do well in social justice, thought revolutionaries, doing things for the masses, volunteers, activists, counselors. Shatabesha will do very well there. So will Purva Bhadrapada actually. Purva Bhadrapada may also go into leadership and administration, like the head of a corporation, CEO, upper level executives. Purva Bhadrapada will be good at that. If the ascendant is in Purva Bhadrapada and there are more planets and points in Uttarashada, especially of Sun, Saturn, and Mercury. Sun, Saturn, and Mercury in Uttarashada in 11th and in Purva Bhadrapada makes for a very revolutionary type leader, more of Steve Jobs kind of material. Okay. Lastly, for the Pisceans, Uttarashada falls between 11th and 10th house. Now, once it falls in 10th house, especially when the Vargottama of Sagittarius going into Sagittarius and Navamsha falls, becomes a dominant career path because now it is sitting in the 10th house. So look for the placement of Jupiter for Piscean ascendant. Okay. It will become very dominant player and Saturn as well. Jupiter in the house of Sagittarius and Saturn in the house of Saturn because they're the house owners. Let's see the ascendants. Uttara Bhadrapada. What can they do? They can work for social humanitarian causes, especially if it's going in the 11th house. Revati, it can become more of leadership and administration in the 11th house. Especially with the sun there, they might become topmost post like CEO or stuff. Purva Bhadrapada, again, once again, the same way. 11th house, we already saw. 10th house, it can become more of social and humanitarian causes. All right, so that wraps up Uttarashada Nakshatra. For now, we shall see more of Uttarashada probably in the heart of the nakshatra. I'm not sure I've covered it. I'm covering so many things these days. So thank you for watching. If you watched this far, leave your comments if you find something in Uttarashada D10. I shall try and get back to you. Take care, be safe.